Part 106. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1077. Boom. A roar resounded throughout the Tiangong, accompanied by a slight tremor throughout the ship. In the main hall of the Heavenly Palace, Huaye took the lead and sprinted for a distance. The dark royal sword in his hand struck heavily on Binghua's royal sword lying above his head. Two energy fields, one red and one black, continued to surge in all directions, and the impact of the explosion cut off the corridor columns in the main hall. Binghua's jet black long hair kept flying behind her head. Although she was the one blocking, her momentum was stronger than that of Huaye, who launched the attack. As time went by, the speed at which Huaye's king sword, which was blessed with the concept of a black hole, devoured energy, could no longer keep up with the increasing amount of dark energy on the Ice Flower King sword. As Binghua snorted coldly, the surging fiery red energy exploded in an instant, blasting Huaye back dozens of meters before he stopped. It seems you haven't learned enough lessons. When I was inferior to you more than 20,000 years ago, I could cut off one of your arms in a hand-to-hand fight. Now that I am stronger than you in every aspect, you still dare to come up and fight with me in a sword fight. Huaye could not refute Binghua's words, but he naturally had his own reasons for doing so. You yourself said it was 20,000 years ago. Maybe I am stronger now. I deeply regret that the person I killed last time was your clone instead of your true self. Huaye said regretfully, but he kept moving, raising his left hand and spreading his fingers. The unknown dark energy quickly gathered, forming several dark spheres, which shot forward. Seeing this, Binghua casually waved out several flaming slashes that illuminated the space, cutting forward and colliding with the pitch-black sphere. Suddenly, several black holes the size of wash basins appeared in the air, absorbing the flames and grinding them with slashes, and finally both disappeared without a trace at the same time. Seeing this ice flower standing in place, faint ripples appeared in the void beside him, and silver feathers reflecting the silvery cold light came out from it, twisting and circling in the air like a silver raging wave that was constantly floating. Huaye's expression froze slightly when he saw this, because he recognized the material of the silver feather, which was extremely sharp dark silver. Even if he was touched, he would not be able to withstand it even if he was a god. The next moment, the floating and surging silver feathers seemed to set off silver waves to cover Huaye's position. Huaye didn't want to be chopped into pieces on the spot. His figure blurred for a while, leaving a faint blue energy phantom in place, and he appeared more than 10 meters away like a space transfer. Under Binghua's control, Yanyu was like a ferocious beast, biting away at Huaye, who frequently disappeared and appeared. Several times later, when Binghua realized that he couldn't catch Huaye like this, the silver feathers that had gathered together suddenly dispersed with a thought, blocking a large area of space around them, and cut towards Huaye again. Seeing this, Huaye was not surprised but overjoyed. He clenched his fist fiercely, and the energy shadows that he had left behind during the space transfer and were gradually dissipating exploded. In an instant, shock waves of void energy swept through the entire main hall one after another. The numerous silver feathers floating in the air could no longer support themselves in the face of the constant rushing of void energy and fell to the ground. During this period, I have been studying the functions of the black hole engine. Please don't take out those old toys of yours to be an eyesore. Huaye was very excited after winning a victory, and even the fear of Binghua in his heart had dissipated a bit. Binghua was a little surprised that Huaye could think of using void energy to attack and destroy the scattered internal weapon engines of Silver Feather. Really, how about I let you meet my new toy? Binghua's voice was still calm, and there was no difference due to the damage to the Silver Feather. After saying the above words, her hands were covered with a layer of armor, which was the Titan's grip, and then the king in her hand the sword also turned into particles and disappeared. What? You plan to fight me with bare hands? Then I won't be polite. Regardless of whether Binghua responded or not, Huaye dragged his Wang sword backhand and threw out several dark slashes. But before these slashes could get close to their target, they were imprisoned in mid-air and trembling by invisible force. As Binghua raised his right hand and clenched it with 5 fingers, Huaye's energy slash was instantly crushed into countless energy fragments. Before the sprinting Huaye retreated, Binghua raised his left hand and pressed down. An invisible force pressed down from above, and the space seemed to turn into a solid. Huaye was immediately pressed into the main body. On the floor of the temple. "What the hell, is this again?" Huaye, who was unable to move due to the terrifying pressure, spoke intermittently. "Don't you dislike my old toys? As you can see, this is a new toy that I have perfected in the last 10,000 years. Is it fun?" The corner of Binghua's mouth curled up, and he continued to press down with his left hand. Suddenly, the entire main hall could no longer bear the pressure, and terrifying cracks climbed from the ground to the wall. Immediately, the huge main hall collapsed directly downwards. Huaye tried hard to escape from the suppression, but in the end he was buried as the ruins fell down. The wings behind Binghua spread out and broke away from the falling floor, hovering in mid-air, looking down at the main palace of the Heavenly Palace, which had been reduced to ruins. Such a big movement naturally attracted the attention of many angels around the Tiangong. After discovering that their main palace was in ruins, the morale of the Tiangong battle angels dropped significantly. Especially after seeing Binghua's figure clearly in the air, some male angels who felt bad had already started to retreat, ready to run away at any time if the situation went wrong. The external situation could not disturb Binghua on the Tiangong for the time being. She looked down at the ruins below and said, "Huaye, if you die like this, it will be a great disgrace to your status as the Angel King." The dignified king of Heavenly Palace was actually killed by the collapsing rubble. If this spread, I am afraid it would become the laughing stock of everyone. Binghua's voice echoed throughout the Tiangong ship. Some of the surviving Tiangong guards looked at each other with disbelief in their eyes, not believing that their king had just fallen. "Who said that this king is dead?" "Binghua, don't even think about fabricating facts out of thin air." The ruins of the collapsed main hall suddenly exploded, and Huaye flew out from it. There were many signs of wear and tear on the originally smooth armor decorated with various ornaments. "I thought you were going to stay in hiding and never come out." Binghua had a faint smile on her face, but it was no less than a terrifying smile in Huaye's eyes. After a moment of confrontation and seeing that Binghua didn't take action immediately, Huaye directly unfolded his black hole engine operation panel, found a special function, and planned to try to see if he could crack Binghua's force field control. The faint blue energy spreads around with Huaye as the center, and begins to repel all energy except void energy. It is the void energy field, which can greatly reduce the energy output and recovery of super warriors and even gods. This function is available in the second-generation Void Engine and the third-generation Void Engine, but the function of the black hole engine is even more powerful. Binghua naturally felt the changes in the surrounding environment. The originally ubiquitous physical light energy, stellar radiation, and various cosmic rays became extremely scarce, and were replaced by extremely corrosive void energy. "How is it? Binghua, do you feel uncomfortable? Let me tell you, as long as you are in this field, you will become weaker and weaker until you are finally at my mercy." But soon Huaye's proud voice stopped abruptly, because Binghua opened his hand, and a dazzling hot sphere appeared in the void, and the terrifying high-temperature radiation instantly filled the entire Tiangong. "Do you think Carl can't think of what you can think of, or do you think you are smarter than him?" Binghua's words passed through Huaye's heart like a sharp sword, making his heart feel cold. It was only now that he thought about a very serious problem. His void engine was made by Carl. With Carl's urine properties, he must have better ones. But not long ago, Carl fell into Binghua's hands, and he still doesn't know whether he will live or die. In this case, how can he defeat the opponent? Huaye's energy and spirit quickly declined like a punctured balloon, and for a moment the idea of escape took over again. Binghua saw that Huaye had lost his fighting spirit after just a few words from him, and felt a little bored, so he threw the mimic star beside him towards the Tiangong. The simulated star, freed from the constraints of the ice flower, immediately expanded and turned into a sphere with a diameter of several thousand meters, emitting infinite light and heat, swallowing and melting 1/10 of the Tiangong's hull. At the same time, the huge energy attached also temporarily repels the void energy scattered in this area. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1078. When Binghua and Carl fought against each other for the first time at the Death Song Academy in the Styx Galaxy, Carl was trapped by Binghua's powerful force field control, and it was difficult for various attack methods to affect Binghua. In the second confrontation, Carl thought of a way to limit the control of the force field, but it ultimately failed to play any role due to the intervention of Samilo's supercomputer. And even if Carl's method is effective and cuts off Binghua's energy source, Binghua can still rely on the miniature stars he stores in the weapon's arsenal and embedded in the Titan's grip as an energy source. When Binghua develops weapons, she considers responses to various situations. The blades and weapons she designs often have the function of charging in advance and absorbing surrounding energy to restore reserves. The design of one internal and one external power supply is to still provide the holder with powerful combat capabilities in harsh combat environments. This has worked wonders many times on the battlefield, causing the enemy to miscalculate the endurance of the angel warriors, thus defeated. After using the powerful energy impact released by the mimic star to repel the void energy field, Ice Flower's palms covered with Titan's grips came closer in front of him. The next moment, some of the surrounding trace elements were extracted and began to bloom with dazzling electric light. They were then kneaded and reacted by the powerful force field, turning into surging ultra-high temperature plasma fluid. Upon seeing this, Huaye quickly stepped back. The next moment, the ultra-high temperature plasma fluid spread like a goddess scattering flowers, covering an area hundreds of meters around it. Even if he was prepared, the armor on the retreating Huaye would inevitably be contaminated by some plasma. In an instant, the terrifying high temperature eroded several holes in his armor, making the corners of his mouth twitch. The casual attack was effective, which was somewhat beyond Binghua's expectation. If this was the case, more would come. As Binghua increased the force field output, the surging hot plasma appeared again, expanding the reaction range. This time it was larger in size and covered a wider area. Huaye felt numb all over when he saw this. Although this thing may not kill him, if it is contaminated, he will have to shed a layer of skin. So Huaye used his trump card, and the black hole engine started the most core attack program. A space-time singularity formed in front of Huaye in an instant, and began to swallow the surrounding matter, transforming into a mimetic black hole. An extremely strong gravitational force instantly acted on the space area where the Tiangong was located, and even Binghua's force field was severely reduced under the influence of the stronger gravitational force of the simulated black hole. However, what Huaye did was not without any cost. The Tiangong's shield began to rise and fall, and then turned into energy debris and exploded. Then the wreckage caused by the previous battle and the half-collapsed Tiangong palace on the ship began to float and rise, heading towards the mimetic black hole. Binghua was naturally affected by the extremely strong gravitational pull of the mimetic black hole, and his body instantly turned into countless shimmering particles, preparing to stay away from this space, intending to temporarily avoid the sharp edge. As a result, the ice flower that turned into a sacred atom was accelerated towards the mimetic black hole, and then reunited. Binghua, your clone cannot escape the swallowing of the black hole, and the same is true for your true self. Huaye held the right hand that maintained the mimetic black hole and said wildly, completely ignoring some of the Tiangong guards who were crushed to death by the strong gravity of the mimetic black hole, as well as the Tiangong number that was being sucked over. As long as the mimetic black hole turns into a real artificial micro-black hole in a while, nothing in this space will be left, including her ice flower. It could be said that in order to kill Binghua, Huaye could no longer care about anything else, even his loyal subordinates. Binghua frowned slightly at this moment and reached out to pull out the neutron blade from the void connected to his arsenal. The powerful gravitational waves immediately spread and collided with the gravity of the simulated black hole. However, Binghua soon discovered that the gravitational pull of the mimetic black hole was increasing every moment, and it would not be long before it could overwhelm the gravitational waves of the neutron blade. Semialo, I will transfer the gravitational wave control authority of the neutron blade to you, and you will maintain its operation. Hyuka ordered through the connection with Seimilo. Understood, the authority is being transferred. The neutron blade maintains the force field algorithm normally and is deriving strong gravity. Semialo soon took over the control of the neutron blade, but he could only maintain the current situation. But it was enough for the current situation, because encountering this situation had already been in Binghua's plan. Although the Operation Godfall planned by Karl successfully destroyed Holy Kesha, it also exposed almost all of his and Huaye's trump cards. Although Kesha died, Kesha's Sacred Knowledge Treasure House supercomputer recorded all the battle data of Karl and Huaye. On the basis of combat data, as long as the technological generation gap is not large, it is easy to develop restraint techniques and tactics. This is also the reason why Karl was captured so easily by Binghua, because most of the methods he could use were known to Binghua in advance. The biggest difference between Binghua and them is that her tactics or techniques are often used to overwhelm others. If you want to overpower her, you must fight openly. But it is a pity that Binghua and Angel did not give Karl the opportunity to upgrade the void technology to a higher level. The secondary biological engine is started, the target mimics the black hole, and its gravitational distribution is being analyzed to build a gravitational shield. Binghua started the sub-biological engine and did not choose to dissolve the mimetic black hole. Instead, he found a new way and used the sub-biological engine to temporarily shield himself from the influence of physical rules, similar to Huaye's current state. As the surface of Binghua's body was covered with a faint golden glow, he suddenly felt his body lightened, and the ubiquitous pulling feeling became insignificant. Then Binghua's body surged with dazzling thunder and lightning. He let go of his hand holding the neutron war blade, drew out his king's sword again and rushed out, pulling out a dazzling thunder flash in the void. The distance between Huaye and Binghua was not far. Seeing that Binghua could move freely, he was frightened to death, but he could not dodge. The simulated black hole created by the black hole engine is powerful, but it needs Huaye to maintain it personally until it can spontaneously swallow the surrounding matter. Now it is the most critical time for the mimetic black hole. If Huaye pulls his hand slightly at this moment, he will be swallowed up. This is the tragedy of Huaye, who is not the developer of the engine, but only the user. What's more, even if Huaye tried to dodge at this moment, it was already too late. Binghua's speed was too fast for him to react, and his chest had already been pierced by the sharp blade. Fiery energy surged through the body, frantically destroying the super gene near the wound. Huaye grabbed the sword in pain and opened his mouth to say something. Don't you like making black holes? It just so happens that today you go and taste the feeling of being swallowed by a black hole yourself. Binghua drew out his sword, wrapped it with thunder and lightning, and whipped Huaye towards the mimetic black hole that was just around the corner. Without the support of Huaye, the mimic black hole became extremely unstable, but it was not picky at all when it came to Huaye. In an instant, Huaye's lower body was sucked in, and the pressure that was enough to erase time and space acted on his body, causing him to scream in pain. Binghua. Soon, with an unwilling and angry cry of despair, Huaye was completely sucked into the mimetic black hole, and then the mimetic black hole suddenly began to expand. When Binghua saw this, his pupils shrank slightly and he quickly retreated, not even bothering to retrieve the neutron blade. A few hours later, on the Justice World battleship that had withdrawn from this space, Binghua looked at the star field that had turned into a Jedi in the universe and sighed. Huaya died, and most of the Tiangong army was devoured by the ravages of the black hole. If the Justice World had not withdrawn in time due to Binghua's intervention, it would have suffered heavy losses. It is a pity that the top weapon neutron glaive prototype sword in Binghua's arsenal is gone. The situation was too dangerous at that time, and Binghua finally gave up the risk of recycling. Because if the weapon is lost, it can be rebuilt. If she is sucked into the black hole, it will not be good. I am afraid that the good situation of the just world and the known universe will be ruined. Of course, it is not ruled out that her successor can maintain the current situation and go further. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1079. With the defeat of Tiangong King Huaya in the Kalan Galaxy, the Tiangong group, which lost its spiritual leader, fell apart in an instant. Except for the part of the Karan Galaxy that was buried in Huaya's last man-made micro-black hole, a small number of the remaining Tiangong members confusedly chose to surrender to the nearest righteous world, and some of them scattered like birds and beasts, and they didn't know where to escape. This is just this part of the Kalan Galaxy. The Tiangong army on the side of the righteous order suffered heavy losses due to the division, encirclement, and annihilation of the Merlot Heavenly Court. The news of Huaya's death dealt a devastating blow to the Tiangong group. At such a critical moment, some ambitious people became more active. A Tiangong general named Yuntian, who was once under Huaya, stood up and prepared to take over the banner of Tiangong. However, it is obvious that Yuntian does not have the power and reputation that Huaya has to suppress the Tiangong group. Some army commanders who are dissatisfied with him have chosen to break away from his leadership and set up their own businesses. Even the Titan Protoss, which has been advancing and retreating with the Tiangong group, has chosen to end its cooperation with Tiangong and prepare to withdraw to the Edge Star Field. Obviously, the defeat of the Tiangong King Huaya has made the Titans completely disappointed with the Tiangong Royal Court, and they are not prepared to stay in the dangerous starry sky of the Order of Justice. As the Tiangong Royal Court gradually weakened, the Tianding Star people who were previously enslaved by Huaya also chose this time to cause trouble and prepare to get rid of the enslavement of the male angels, because the current Tiangong group can no longer give them the pressure to exterminate their clan. At its peak, the Tiangong group, which once swept the entire Order of Justice with millions of angel legions, numerous affiliated civilizations, and servant armies, suffered several strategic failures. The fall of Huaya became the straw that broke the camel's back. It can be called the fall of the wall. A model that everyone recommends. Today's Tiangong Royal Court, that is, Huaya's old tribe led by Yuntian, cannot even gather 100,000 battle angels. The only ones who have not left them are the servants who serve as cannon fodder. Because even the new male angel Wang Yuntian, who has less than 100,000 battle angels under his command, is not something that the new Shima Empire can compete with. He can still destroy their home planet and massacre their troops. But this force is not enough in front of the Justice World and the Merlot Heavenly Court, so Yuntian prepares to follow the example of the former King Huaya and escape to the edge of the universe. But this time he made the wrong calculation. Merlot Heavenly Court was determined to annihilate the remaining members of Heavenly Palace this time. He 11 was not prepared to be as soft-hearted as Kesha before and leave further trouble. As the current commander of the angels, Nishang has performed her duties outstandingly, ended her more than 20,000 years of fighting career and retired with satisfaction, ready to give up her position to the young angels. Nishang was extremely satisfied that she was able to thwart Huaya's attack on Angel Nebula before retiring and saw the defeat of Tiangong with her own eyes. She had no regrets in her life. The angel army chasing the male angel Wang Yuntian was divided into two parts, led by the sacred Zhou Ziuyan and the captain of the Mellow Guard, Angel Leng. Due to his outstanding performance in the war against the Tiangong army, and his combat effectiveness was not weaker than that of the Holy Left Wing, Nishang promoted Leng to the leader of the Mellow Guard, a battle group composed of high-ranking angels. The Merlot Heavenly Court was busy clearing out the scattered remnants of the Tiangong, while the Justice World began to evacuate from the Karen Galaxy. Of course, they did not forget to take away their spoils, the Tiangong flagship and some of the precious resources seized from the Tiangong. Lord Karen looked at the damage report handed over by his subordinates and the cost and time of post-war reconstruction, and felt his eyes darken. The Kalan people gained nothing from this war. The only results they gained were the ruined Kalan colonial resource star system and a sharp decline in population. It can be said that this war has set their civilization back for nearly 1,000 years, and it is unknown how long it will take to recover. This is the price of indiscriminately participating in the conflict of super civilizations. On the contrary, the Tiran people who surrendered to Tiangong first suffered slightly more losses, but they were mentally inferior to their neighbors, the Kalan people. Due to the sudden collapse of the Heavenly Palace, the Tiran people fell into civil strife. The capitulation faction and the resistance faction are now liquidating each other and competing for the leadership of the future Tiran civilization. However, these have nothing to do with Binghua. Now she has returned to the Chaiwu star system with the fleet of the Justice World and begun to rest and recuperate. But before that, Binghua and Hexi had a cold war for a while. The reason was that Binghua hid the news that Kesha was still alive from Hexi. Binghua, who felt a little guilty, was about to take the initiative to go to Hexi to apologize and make up for the relationship between the two sisters, but Hexi took the initiative to connect with her. When he met He-11, he said unhappily, "How long do you plan to take Queen Kesha with you? I can't contact her, and you won't let her come back early. How could you do this to my sister and me?" Binghua looked away embarrassedly, and Kesha took over the conversation at this time. "Didn't you do a good job? Why are you so determined to bring me, the fallen king of angels, back to the throne? Queen Kesha, how can you say that? The righteous order is still waiting for you to come back and preside over the reconstruction work, and the angel civilization also needs your leadership." Hexi became a little anxious when he heard Kesha said that he didn't want to go back. "No, Hexi, my philosophy is outdated and no longer applicable to today's angel civilization. The previous angel civilization was like a child, it needed to absorb enough nutrients to thrive. But now that angel civilization has grown up, excessive nutrition has become a burden for her, and she no longer needs me, an old antique, to protect her. He-11, I have finally eliminated my influence among the new generation of angels. The angel civilization is moving away from blind worship of me. Can you bear to let all this go back to its original position?" Kesha's question silenced He-11. Even though she was not very interested in the concept of justice believed in by angelic civilization, she could clearly feel the recent changes in the atmosphere of Merlot heaven. After experiencing the collapse of the justice order system, the new generation of angels are no longer as naive as before, talking about justice all day long. This war made them discover that justice is not beautiful, but full of pain and helplessness. How proud they were of their status as defenders of order, how painful and powerless they felt when the order of justice swept across the heavenly palace. Because facing the civilization struggling to survive under the ravages of the heavenly palace, they could do nothing. This sense of powerlessness made them finally no longer blindly believe in the so-called concept of justice. They have understood their own weakness. After all, they are not the omnipotent God's in mortal belief. They also have their own limitations. Although the justice in their hearts will not disappear, the young angels have learned how to restrain their kindness and no longer clamor to fight for justice all day long. This is also the reason why He-11 did not re-establish the order of justice, but few angels raised objections, because it was this war that made most angels discover the flaws of the order of justice and their inability to protect these civilizations. Instead of doing this, it is better to let go early and let these civilizations thrive to the point where they can withstand the wind and rain. Today's angelic civilization has degenerated from the pole of the known universe into an ordinary super-divine civilization. It seems to have become weaker, but it has become purer. Binghua is happy to see this come to fruition. In the past, although the Merlot heavenly court's influence spread throughout the known universe, its power was extremely dispersed, and the losses in all aspects in order to maintain the stability of the righteous order were extremely huge. In fact, the mellow heavenly court no longer needs the original intention of establishing the order of justice, in order to obtain more resources and influence. After the material synthesis and printing technology has matured in the past 10,000 years, the purpose of the existence of the righteous order is just for the sake of existence. It did not bring much benefit to the development of angel civilization. Instead, it hindered the angels all the time, and even led to several wars between angels and demons. It is impossible to calculate how many angels were sacrificed for this, and how many resources were filled in. Even the hostility to the Styx Death Song Academy was due to the order of justice itself. Although the order of justice has brought many troubles to the angels, neither Kesha, the king of angels, nor the warriors under her command have regretted establishing her. Because those angels still can't forget the reverent eyes of mortals when they execute justice, and the sense of satisfaction in their hearts that is about to overflow. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1080. Hexie's plan to bring back Queen Kesha ultimately failed, but Hexie was not discouraged. At the level of Hexie, Binghua, and Kesha, the throne is more like a responsibility than a right to them. As long as they become kings, they will do everything possible to think about how to lead the development of civilization. But He 11 is not enthusiastic about this. Rather than becoming the main god of civilization and leading civilization forward, she would rather find something that interests her and study it slowly. This is also the reason why she is eager to let Kesha go back to take charge of the overall situation, because as the regent, Hexie needs to waste most of her time every day on things that she thinks are meaningless, leaving her little time to think. During the time when Hexie became the regent, almost all the research projects in her hands were on hold, and only some regular research projects continued under the auspices of her students. Sister Hexie, you can find a new angel king in Merlot heaven. You just need to train her, and then you can retire. Binghua gave an idea, but received a blank look from Hexie. It's so easy to say, why don't you train one and send him over to serve as the king of angels? Hearing this, Binghua immediately fell silent. In her heart, her former left-wing bodyguard, Ran, was capable enough to serve as the king of angels. Of course, Uran's ability can only maintain the current situation unchanged at best. It will be very difficult to lead the angel civilization further. Ran's character is destined to be less aggressive than conservative. This is why Ran was still able to maintain justice, order, and stability even after Binghua left office. The other one is Elan. Although she has always been Kesha's follower and has not performed very well, after becoming the Holy Left Wing, she did a good job of balancing the Sky Blade faction and the Sky Sword faction at that time. Externally, Elan can also handle the relationship between subordinate civilizations and the civilized world of justice order, and can make reasonable decisions. The only pity is that Elan once fell as the Holy Left Wing. In the historical records of the angel civilization, she was already a dead person. It is a bit unreasonable to suddenly appear and inherit the king of angels. Just as the figures of angels floated through Binghua's thoughts, He 11 on the other end of the communication seemed to have thought of something, and the corners of his mouth were slightly raised. Binghua, sister, I suddenly thought of a good idea, which can not only solve my current troubles, but also make the development of angel civilization go further. Hearing this, Binghua immediately cast curious eyes, waiting for He 11's next words. Hexi snapped his fingers and said, "The way is to make you the new king of angels, so that I can do research in peace and mind." Binghua immediately said after hearing this, "This is impossible. I am the leader of the righteous world. It is somewhat inappropriate to become the king of angels." "Is there anything inappropriate?" "Sister, I have seen your model and order system of the world of justice. Those kings under your command are everywhere, and you are the goddess and god king who leads them. In this case, it doesn't matter if there is another identity as the king of angels, and don't you think that the world of justice and the angelic civilization can complement each other? Anyway, you already have an angel settlement planet under your command, so you probably don't mind having another Merlot heaven." He 11 talked about this topic without any scruples. Kesha shook her head slightly while listening, feeling that she was really being trusted. "I have never seen the main god of civilization rush to throw his civilization to another main god of civilization." But Kesha thought about it carefully and found that this method seemed pretty good. "Sister Hexi, what you are talking about must have a premise, that is, the angels of Merlot heaven accept me as the new king of angels. Otherwise, no matter what you say, it will be nonsense." Binghua unhurriedly revealed a fatal flaw in He 11's idea. She had left Merlot heaven for more than 10,000 years, and no more than 10,000 angels knew her in Merlot heaven. He 11's words to persuade Binghua to submit were suddenly stuck, and he cursed himself for not preparing in advance. If he had known it, he would have held an internal vote in the Merlot heavenly court to settle the matter and see what Binghua had to say. As for whether Binghua could get the support of all the angels, He 11 said that at worst she would risk her old face and invite the retired old angels of the Heavenly Sword Legion. In fact, Binghua's popularity among the new generation of angels is not low, because one of her students is one of the two leading figures of the new generation. Under Leng's propaganda, Binghua has become a legend of the angel civilization, and is the target that many battle angels are determined to pursue. In addition, Binghua once captured Morgana, the demon king who had been hostile to the angel civilization for tens of thousands of years, and her reputation in Merlot heaven was much higher than she imagined. It can be said that Binghua is the most respected existence among the angels under Queen Kesha. In addition, Binghua rarely appears in the known universe, which also gives Binghua a layer of mystery. While the angel queens were busy shirking the throne, the work of clearing out the remnants of the heavenly palace had not fallen behind. Although the known universe is not the territory of the just world, first of all, the second-generation angel army commanders Kaza and Elan both have one idea for the remnants of Tiangong, which is to eliminate them to prevent them from resurrecting in the future and continuing to cause trouble. Compared with the first angel legion's behavior of capturing prisoners while fighting, the second angel legion's methods were much more brutal. They did not deliberately capture prisoners, and the male angels who surrendered were often thrown to Kaza by Elan. With the help of Merlot heavenly court and the angel legion below the world of justice, it swept the entire world of justice order. The Tiangong group, which once made all civilizations think that Merlot heavenly court might be destroyed, gradually disappeared. However, after this incident, the just order that once made them feel breathless also disappeared with the collapse of the Tiangong group. This large-scale war that affected half of the known universe has come to an end. What makes various civilizations feel relieved is that the angel civilization has suffered a big blow. In the next few hundred years, it is time for them to concentrate on development and catch up. But soon some civilizations discovered that the pressure of the righteous order was gone, but a new threat emerged, that is, triangular creatures from outside the known universe, claiming to be advanced life forms. During the melee between Merlot heavenly court and Tiangong, the triangular body not only annexed a large number of the Tiangong royal court and the planetary system where the beast civilization is located in the Edge star field, but also a large number of triangular body groups belonging to the modeled Blue Empire also entered the known universe. This declares that the modeled Blue Empire has officially become interested in the vast blue ocean of the known universe. It is no longer limited to the small fights in the past and secretly embezzling it, but plans to take advantage of the large-scale war in the known universe that has just been settled and there is no time to cultivate. First swallow a part of the star field to gain a foothold. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1081. In the star field at the edge of the known universe, large groups of triangles that are enough to obscure the glow of stars are pouring into the planetary system where the civilization is located in this starry sky. The scorching energy weapons and the huge steel ships were directly submerged in front of the large group of modeled blue empires, turning into brilliant cosmic fireworks. The large groups of triangles are also the regular army of the modeled blue empire. Each large group is a well-organized army. The lowest level and the most numerous ordinary triangular creatures form the cornerstone of a large group. They have a relatively large size. In addition to being able to soar in the starry sky, they also have the most basic ability to control magnetic fields. Then there are the low-level triangle warriors, the mid-level triangle warriors, and finally the high-level triangle warriors and the lord of the group. The higher the level of the triangular body warrior, the higher the evolution of the brain and itself, the more powerful the magnetic field control ability, and even use their extremely active brain waves to form a mental impact to attack the enemy. In the past, under the threat of the Merlot Heavenly Guarding Angel Legion, the modeled Blue Empire had always had a concern, that is, it would be in a state of anxiety with the angels at the edge of the known universe, and it would repeat the physical war that happened more than 20,000 years ago, and the entire known universe would unite to deal with it. But the emergence of Huaya and the Tiangong group made the modeled Blue Empire discover that the known universe is not as united as they imagined. While the mellow heavenly court was busy cleaning up the Tiangong group, the modeled Blue Empire sent a large number of triangular creature teams to explore and collect intelligence, and established a planetary stronghold suitable for their own survival and rest in the known universe. Now that the war in the known universe has finally subsided, the modeled Blue Empire is ready to take advantage of your illness and kill you to reignite the war that has just been extinguished, and will never give the known universe a chance to recuperate. Without the barrier of the border guarding angels, the peaceful life of civilizations near the edge of the known universe for more than 10,000 years was suddenly broken. If the conflict of civilizations within the Kamigawa system would still give the other side a chance to annex, then in the face of the invasion of the modeled Blue Empire Triangle Group, the civilization of the Kamigawa system has only one option: fight to the death. The conflict between the two parties is no longer an ordinary conflict between social systems, civilized customs, or even interests, but a fundamental conflict over living space. If the modeled Blue Empire wants to expand, it must occupy the living planet and carry out marine transformation, submerging more than 90% of the land on the planet. As for the Kamigawa organisms living on it, all of them will naturally be killed. Only in this way can the modeled Blue Empire feel at ease. Otherwise, when they expand, the surviving Kamigawa creatures will give them a big eye in the rear, which would not be good. The drastic changes in the Edge Galaxy were quickly learned by Merlot Heavenly Court, but in the face of such a situation, He-11 was powerless to stop it. Merlot Heaven suffered a lot of losses in the battle with the Tiangong group. A large number of injured battle angels are currently undergoing training in Merlot Heaven. Although they still maintain their fighting ability, if they do not undergo careful physical examination and repair, they are likely to be left with irreparable damage. The Legion in better condition, led by Yan and Leng, is chasing the fleeing male angel Wang Yuntian and the remnants of the Tiangong royal court under his command. The state of the affiliated civilization is also not very good. During the confrontation with Tiangong, the army of the affiliated civilization suffered heavy losses. Now it has finally escaped from the state of war. If they are recruited again, there will probably be trouble. It can be said that the timing chosen by the triangular creatures was so good that the angels did not even have the ability to stop their invasion. Binghua, What do you think us angels should do now? Hexi, who didn't know how to break the situation, naturally found Binghua, but Binghua was also a little bit difficult to deal with, because if he didn't handle it well, Angel might have to fight the thunder alone. It was precisely with this in mind that he 11 rushed to contact Binghua to discuss countermeasures. Kesha didn't interrupt at the side because she didn't want her words to affect Binghua and Hexi's judgment. If it was the former Kesha, I am afraid that she would have already begun to reorganize the border-guarding angel army to drive the triangle out of the known universe and enhance the prestige of the righteous order. But now Kesha no longer thinks that way. The order of justice has been shattered, and it no longer makes much sense to let the border guard angels go to the edge star field to deal with the triangle. On the contrary, it will lose more troops than the gain. As the former king of angels, Kesha's idea of justice is certainly her advocate, but it does not affect her prioritizing the interests of angelic civilization. Binghua and Hexi were silent for a long time without coming up with a suitable solution. The main thing was that they didn't bother to do things that benefited themselves at the expense of others. Seeing this, Kesha finally couldn't help but speak out. If there is really no good way, then start a theocratic meeting and invite all the chief gods of civilization to discuss countermeasures. Binghua, who was thinking about whether to use her influence to find Liang and other civilizations to form a coalition, heard this and her eyes lit up. She almost forgot that Kesha had held a theocratic meeting. Although this meeting has never been held once, because before this, the known universe has never had a catastrophe that could destroy the known universe. But according to the influence of angelic civilization, if a theocratic meeting is held, I believe that no civilized god will miss it, because if you are not present at such a meeting, if certain civilizations reach a consensus and offend your interests, you will not have the opportunity to speak out. Nothing. Sister Hexi, Kesha is right, you immediately send an invitation to all god-making civilizations in the name of the angel regent. We angels must not show up in the next theocratic meeting, because the Merlot heavenly court cannot bear the loss of a physical war. Binghua subconsciously placed himself on Merlot heavenly court's force field, which made he 11 very happy. This showed that Binghua still cared about Merlot heavenly court. Don't worry, I'll take care of it right away. After he 11 finished speaking, he hung up the communication and went to get ready. With Kesha's treasure trove of sacred knowledge, it would not be difficult to contact various civilizations in the known universe. Binghua leaned back in his seat and stared at the starry sky outside the porthole window, sighing. What are you lamenting about? The universe has always been like this. It's just that we angels have resisted everything in the past. This is what I am most proud of. The golden particles reorganized into Kesha's figure behind Binghua. At this moment, she did not have the majestic aura that she once had when she was the king of angels. Her face had softened at some point, and she was wearing a long white dress dotted with golden patterns. She put her seemingly slender and weak arms on Binghua's shoulders and spoke into Binghua's ear. Then why don't you return to Merlot heaven to continue the career that you are proud of? Binghua didn't pay attention to Kesha's slightly intimate movements, but directly asked Kesha's words. This period of close contact made the relationship between the two much closer, and Kesha's personality, who did not need to maintain the majesty of the King of Angels, became more like an ordinary female angel. Aren't you asking questions knowingly? Facts have proven that I am on the wrong path. Am I going to make the same mistake again? Kesha's face left Binghua's ears and turned into golden particles that reunited on the seat opposite Binghua. I suddenly felt that he 11's previous proposal was quite good. You become the new king of angels and lead the Merlot heavenly court on another path, a path of gathering strength. Hearing this, Binghua frowned slightly and said in confusion, why are you like this? Is there no suitable king of angels besides me? Hearing this, Kesha also began to sigh. I used to think that Yan was quite suitable, but now I realize that Yan is a good choice, but rather than letting the angel civilization turn from prosperity to decline, I hope she can become better. Binghua also thought of the young blonde angel who had studied thunder warfare with her for a period of time. After thinking about it, Binghua also discovered some problems. Yan's calmness is indeed one of the qualities a king needs, but Yan is too kind-hearted and has a sense of justice. This is not a good thing for today's Merlot heavenly court, because the current angel civilization does not have the capital to support the continued existence and expansion of the concept of justice. I believe you have also thought that if the order of justice still exists, as long as Yan can gain enough reputation, he can become a king of angels loved by many civilizations. But now I am not optimistic that she can control the current Merlot heaven. Kesha said this because Yan had just cleansed himself of some of his dereliction of duty as a member of the Holy Left. Another reason is that the current Merlot heavenly court does not have Kesha to pave the way for her. This can be seen from Yan's failure to lead the Merlot Guards. You must know that the Merlot Guard is equivalent to Huaye's Imperial Guard, but Nishang handed it over to the leadership of Leng, a pure god of war, which is clearly cutting off part of the authority of the Holy Left Wing. As for He 11, the regent, she was not interested in the military at all. It didn't matter who led the Merlot Guards to her, but she didn't think highly of Yan. Because in this war against Tiangong, although Yan performed very well, he was only good, and there was nothing particularly outstanding. This is also the reason why Nishang did not support Yan to go further, because as an old angel who has watched Merlot heaven grow to what it is today, she is a little worried about leaving the angel's future to him like this. This is also the view of most old angels who are still serving. Otherwise, as a student of Yank Esha, he would have become the leader of the Skyblade faction. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1082. The convening of the Theocratic Conference was much smoother than expected. After all, although the Merlot heavenly court was weakened, no civilization could ignore the performance of the Death Palace group. Although the Merlot heavenly court stated that it can guarantee the safety of the main gods participating in the Theocratic Conference, there are still some civilized main gods who will participate in the form of projections. The only ones who actually rushed to Marrow heaven after receiving the news were Liang, Sakaz, Kabri, Karen, Tyran, Hayden, Thane, Langzing, and other civilizations that were relatively close to the Angel Nebula. In a very spacious hall, there is a giant white round table in the middle area, and thrones with noble shapes are placed around it. There are rows of seats on the periphery that are much more ordinary than the thrones next to the round table. These are prepared for representatives of aerospace-grade civilization who are willing to listen. Hexie sat in the position representing the angelic civilization, and the one closest to her was naturally the position on the left representing the world of justice, with Binghua sitting on it. Then came the main gods of the burning sun, Emperor Rena, the main god of Gulans, the bow of the sky, the main god of the thunder blade, the power of Leo, the descendants of Dino representing Tukeo, the Shenzhou representing the power of the galaxy, and other main gods who can represent their respective civilizations. There were many familiar faces among them, but strictly speaking, apart from some neutral god-making civilizations, those present seemed to be divided into three camps. If Karl of the Styx galaxy was still there, there should be 4 camps now. But unfortunately, Karl was missing, and the Styx also fell into the hands of Liang. Naturally, Styx's place was lost in the Theocratic Conference. Compared with other civilized gods who were calm and composed, Ge Xiaolun, who was participating in such a hierarchical meeting for the first time, felt a little uneasy. After all, in his nearly 30 years of life, he had never seen anything like this before, so he couldn't help but feel nervous. Ge Xiaolun was able to get a seat at the Theocratic Conference entirely because he was the representative of the Anti-Void God Creation Project, the most proud work of the Shenhe technology system. In addition, although Shenzhou is small, it is still famous in the universe. After all, it has forced back the Liang first, and it is now the base camp of the Sky Sword King. Dilana was also the younger one among the main gods present. She kept looking curiously at the other main gods around her, focusing on Binghua, the Sky Sword King that Pan Zhen mentioned most, for a while. As the projections of civilization representatives appeared on the seats representing aerospace-level civilization behind the main gods, the theocratic meeting officially began after the people had almost arrived. I believe everyone already knows why the theocratic conference is convened, so I won't talk nonsense. While we are still wary of killing each other, a foreign biological civilization named Mottled Blue from outside the known universe where our Kamigawa system civilization is located has launched an attack on us. As the host and angel regent, Hexi naturally spoke first. Seeing that all the gods were listening calmly, Hexi continued. According to the results calculated by our Merlot Heavenly Court supercomputer, the Edge star field will fall in the near future. Mottled Blue's next target is likely to be the Pocket Nebula and the Nadar Galaxy. Hearing this, the gods of the Hayden civilization and the Thane civilization in the Pocket Nebula frowned. This is not good news, even if it is clear that the soon he 11 set is likely to be a few years later. Although they didn't know much about Mottled Blue, they were definitely not able to compete with an opponent that could make the angels convene a theocratic meeting to deal with it. Compared with the calm attitude of the two major god-making civilizations in the Pocket Nebula, the civilizations in the Nadar Galaxy, which are located in the seat of space-grade civilization, are a little panicked. In the past, they felt that they were far away from the core star field of the known universe and could escape the control of the powerful civilization there, but now they wish they had a super civilization by their side so that they would have someone to hug them. In fact, He 11 didn't say anything yet. There is a civilization belonging to the Order of Justice near the Nadar Galaxy. This is the reason why the border guard angels are stationed there to guard against the triangular creatures. Now that there is no barrier of guarding angels, the original Justice Order civilization there is likely to suffer. He 11 has sent angels to notify them, allowing them to relocate if they are able. But it's impossible to think about it. Not all civilizations are like angels, which only have a population of tens of millions. If you want to transfer, you only need to build a space city. How can some space-grade civilizations with tens of billions of people be transferred in a short time? Fortunately, Mottled Blue is still transforming the Edge star field and gathering more large groups, so the Shenhe civilization still has some time. I wonder what His Majesty the Holy Lord Hexi has planned. The main god of the Thunder Blade civilization asked a question. It would be okay if you don't ask. Now that they are a subordinate civilization of Liang, they will naturally act as Liang's pawns to explore the way. It's very simple. How about we put aside our prejudices for the time being and drive the Mottled Blue Empire out of the known universe? He 11's words were not what everyone present expected. If Mottled Blue could be destroyed easily, the angel civilization would have sent out troops long ago. As the initiator of the theocratic conference, we, the Mellow Heavenly Court, can deploy 12 heavenly blades to fight against the Mottled Blue Empire, 2 angels at the level of divine wings, and 15 angels at the god level. Merlot Heavenly Court's generosity shocked the hearts of all the civilizations present, because in He 11's words, high-level angels were not even mentioned, which meant that high-level angels could only be regarded as ordinary combat units. Seeing that Merlot Heavenly Court was taking the lead, other civilizations were embarrassed and did not show any expression at all. However, compared to Merlot Heavenly Court's generosity, most of what they provided were just regular armies and very few super soldiers. Only the Hayden civilization and Thane civilization expressed their willingness to fully cooperate with the mobilization of the Merlot Heavenly Court. They would not cooperate. According to the information given by the Merlot Heavenly Court, the Mottled Blue Swarm was not far from the Pocket Nebula. Finally, the pressure came to Liang. As the founder of the recently emerged Liang Heavenly Order, Liang's strength expanded rapidly like the original angel civilization, and it was expected to become the second order of justice. We Liang are willing to cooperate with this alliance initiated by Merlo Heavenly Court in principle, but we are now encountering a little difficulty. Dilana raised her palm slightly and a projection was released. What was on the screen were the ancient warships of the Liang civilization. Their opponents were giant creatures that emerged from a terrifying purple rift. They wore carapaces that shone with strange purple light, and could breathe out surging purple energy. As long as the shield of the Liang battleship is affected, it will soon be broken, and the battleship will be quickly disintegrated into countless particles, leaving nothing behind. Dilana said solemnly, "These are monsters emerging from the core star field of the Styx galaxy. We Liang are now fighting them with all our strength. But these monsters are getting stronger and stronger recently, and we are gradually unable to seal off that star field." Dilana's words were like a heavy hammer, hitting the hearts of all the gods of civilization. Don't give people a way to live like this. Just after sending away the Tiangong group that disrupted the known universe, they ushered in a full-scale invasion by the modeled Blue Empire. Now, an unknown existence has popped up from this corner of the river Styx. Even the blazing sun can't bear it. Is the known universe about to be destroyed? Void creatures, what else did you add to Carl's research to create such a huge void rift? Binghua's voice sounded at this time, and his eyes were fixed on Dilana. Dilana couldn't help but look away, and said with some embarrassment, "It turns out that His Excellency the King of Heavenly Sword also knew about this thing. We didn't do anything. It was a complete accident that things turned out like this." Dilana was embarrassed to tell the truth. In order to catch up with Angel's technological advantages, Liang took over Carl's research on the void. In terms of driving fusion stars, Liang has reached a bottleneck, and it is difficult to make any further progress in a short period of time. Moreover, technologies with fusion energy as the core usually have a huge range of damage, but the damage to a single body is extremely limited, and it is difficult to cause damage to 3 or more generations of gods. Therefore, void energy, which is more plastic and corrosive than dark energy, entered Liang's field of vision. They first captured the void creatures wandering in the river Styx, and then conducted research, hoping to find ways for them to control void energy. In order to obtain more samples and data, Liang began to feed high-energy substances to void creatures, intending to see the limits of their evolution. As a result, every time a void creature transforms, it is like changing into another species. Its destructive power will undergo a qualitative change. At the same time, it is full of energy and can connect to the void universe and create space gates across the universe to call in more void creatures. Liang responded quickly and quickly evacuated the researchers and began to station the Liang army to suppress it. However, who knew that the void creatures began to devour each other under the huge pressure and transform into stronger individuals? The final result was obvious. The suppressed Sun army withdrew with heavy losses, and the void creatures devoured the energy core of the research base and escaped. Then this void creature somehow evolved the ability to travel through space, passed through the Yongxiao Tianting defense system parked in the Styx galaxy, and devoured the core star reactor of Yongxiao Tianting. At this time, Liang's civilization completely exploded, and Dilana personally led the 2 guardians to hunt down this void creature that had caused Liang to suffer great humiliation. In the end, Dilana directly detonated a star to destroy it, but the consequences were also serious, because the energy of the exploded star persisted for a long time, making the void energy extremely active. The remains of the void creature that was blown to pieces continued to convert the surrounding energy into void energy. When Liang discovered that something was wrong, the void universe connected to the main biological universe using the exploded star as the base point. At this point, a supergiant void rift that cannot be closed naturally appeared, and the surrounding rich energy continued to attract void creatures from the other side to shuttle over. Liang civilization also understood that it had caused a big disaster, and began to block it at all costs. However, Liang's fusion technology showed its disadvantages in the process of fighting against void creatures. Because Liang can certainly kill void creatures with its powerful heat ray weapon, but if Liang's battleships are destroyed by void creatures, it will make them even more powerful. Because the fusion core and stellar furnace inside the battleship contain huge energy, and energy is the food of void creatures. This is like a vicious cycle. Liang is looking for a way to break this cycle. At this time, Merlot Heavenly Court held a theocratic meeting. Dilana planned to follow Pan Zhen's instructions to bring up the issue of void creatures at the theocratic meeting, but the angel also threw a bomb and caught them off guard. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifen Si Wang. Chapter 1083. The theocratic meeting that originally entered the normal process was accompanied by the bad news thrown out one after another by the angels and Liang, and the civilizations felt numb. If other civilizations encounter difficulties that they cannot solve, the civilizations will not be like this. After all, there are angels and blazing sun to support them. But now the angels are afraid of mottled blue strength and have convened a theocratic meeting to discuss countermeasures. Liang is unable to control the spread of void creatures and plans to seek support. Seeing that the sun goddess Dilana and the holy He-11 fell into silence, the heavenly sword king Binghua frowned and thought, and the central god of Kalan civilization whispered. Then what should we do now? Should we prioritize solving the problems of the Styx galaxy, or expel the swarm of mottled blue intruders? The reason why the main god of Kalan civilization is so proactive is because they don't want the flames of war to burn their territory anymore, because they really can't bear it anymore. After the Kalan civilization took the lead, the centrist civilizations expressed their opinions one after another, waiting for the decision of Angel and Liang. Now these two civilizations are the only ones with enough weight in the universe. The aerospace-grade civilizations who are watching have given up resistance. You can do whatever you say, because they have no power to resist in the face of such enemies and disasters that can span galaxies. As for Shenzhou and other civilizations involved with angels, they are waiting for the decision of Merlot Heavenly Court so that they can cooperate. The Thunderblade near Liang, Gulans and other civilizations also have the same idea. As of now, we can only proceed on two fronts at the same time. I don't know if Liang can still control the situation in the Styx. Please think about it carefully. Binghua spoke up, and his tone did not change due to the bad situation, but the scrutiny in his words was clearly audible. Dilana wanted to answer Binghua's question according to her pre-planned words, but she opened her mouth and swallowed it back. For some reason, Dilana felt that Binghua's gaze towards her was unusually cold, as if she lied, there would be unpredictable consequences. We can still suppress the void creatures for the time being. If the situation gets out of control, Liang will consider triggering a supernova and destroying everything in the Styx. In the end, Dilana truthfully told Liang's internal plan to deal with the problem of void creatures in the Styx galaxy. Hearing this, all the civilizations present were shocked. A supernova was a horrific disaster that was enough to destroy a large galaxy. The former Dino civilization died in the explosion of a supernova. Excuse my previous sentence, I don't think creating a supernova explosion is a good way to solve the problem. Tukeo spoke up, extremely disapproving of Liang's method of destroying everything with a supernova. Oh, then don't you have any better ideas? This goddess is all ears. Dilana did not have such a good attitude towards Tukeo, and said disdainfully. According to the information you just provided, void creatures can swallow energy. Aren't you afraid that the energy of the supernova will be swallowed by the void, thus creating an even more terrifying disaster? Tukeo's words made some civilizations who were watching the fun start to look at each other. This is indeed something that may happen. Ha, I think you don't understand. Void creatures can be killed. As long as they can be evaporated instantly, void cracks can be prevented from appearing again. Do you think we Liang haven't done the argument in advance? Moreover, with the intensity of the supernova's energy release, the void creatures have no time to do anything, they just need to be destroyed obediently. Dilana held her chest and said proudly, she has the capital to speak like this. They Liang may not be confident in other aspects, but they are the best at destruction, which is enough to look down upon all civilizations here except angels. Since the blazing sun can suppress the void creatures in the Styx galaxy, it will be much easier to handle. Compared to the void creatures that need to swallow energy to grow, I think the large group of mottled blue empire deserves our more attention. After all, void creatures will not suddenly cross the galaxy and attack everyone present. 20,000 years ago, the triangular creatures, the mottled blue empire, were afraid of the power of our known universe, and finally chose to retreat. But now that the other party has once again invaded the known universe on a large scale, they should be fully prepared. If they are allowed to encroach on the star field of the known universe, all civilizations present will be destroyed. Therefore, our main goal should be to drive mottled blue out of the known universe first, and then solve the problem of void creatures in the Styx galaxy. But now that there is no new Kamigawa Pan-Civilization Alliance at the front, we have to do it ourselves, so everyone, unite. Let the alien biological civilization know that our Shenhe body civilization is not easy to mess with. Binghua's words made some civilization representatives nod in agreement. Compared with the void creatures that can be controlled by the blazing sun, the mottled blue swarm is more dangerous. Since none of you here are against the alliance, it's settled. I hope those here won't treat us angels too. Let me put it bluntly, even if all the civilizations present fall, Merlot Heavenly Court will still have the confidence to withstand the attack of the mottled blue empire and defend the Angel Nebula. And you don't have to worry about the safety of your own civilization. If your civilization is attacked by other civilizations during the fight against the mottled blue empire, all civilizations present can attack it together. Although Binghua's words were not very pleasant, they finally silenced the many voices in the theocratic meeting. Hexie didn't care at all that Binghua took away her right to speak. It would be better to say that ever since Binghua began to dominate the theocratic conference, she had leaned on the throne and quietly admired Binghua's performance. When other civilizations present saw this, they all thought that Binghua was the person in charge of the Merlot Heavenly Court now, and that the sacred Hexie was just a symbol on the surface. After all, for more than 10,000 years before this, He 11 was really not well known as the Holy Right Wing. Even now that he has become the Angel Regent, this great god has not expressed any opinions of his own. With Binghua's final words, the theocratic conference entered the final stage, and finally decided that Angel and Liang would each be responsible for the front line. Merlot Heaven will form a coalition with many civilizations to fight against the mottled blue swarm that invades the known universe. Liang gathers the manpower and material resources of Liang Heavenly Way to curb the spread of void creatures, and can ask for help from Merlot Heavenly Court when necessary. At this point, the angel civilization's purpose of convening a theocratic meeting has been achieved, bringing together half of the civilizations in the entire known universe to fight against mottled blue instead of fighting alone in the past. After the theocratic meeting, Binghua was about to return to her palace in the Chaiwa star system when something unexpected happened. She was blocked by a group of angels in the Merlot Heaven. Queen, please take over as the King of Angels and lead us. Yes, Queen, you will succeed as the King of Angels. The sisters have been waiting for more than 20,000 years, and finally got this opportunity. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows of his dormitory, Binghua saw a group of familiar faces, most of whom were his former subordinates. At this moment, they looked excited and gathered in front of the main hall of the dormitory, shouting. He 11 was also in Binghua's dormitory at the moment. Looking at Binghua, who was confused about whether to go out or not, covering her mouth and snickering, she thought to herself. Sister, I don't believe it. I gave you the position of the King of Angels if you don't accept that your old subordinates can let you go. But he 11 also knew that this alone was not enough, he had to make sure that Binghua became the King of Angels. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1084. As soon as the news that Binghua would inherit the King of Angels spread in Merlot Heaven, many retired seniors from the original Heavenly Sword faction excitedly ran to Binghua's palace in Merlot Heaven, preparing to witness this historic moment. Binghua failed to succeed the King of Angels, which was a regret that could not be erased in the hearts of the former members of the Heavenly Sword Legion. The reason was that they did not think that their queen was inferior to Kesha. Although Binghua finally succeeded the Holy Left Wing and took charge of the military power of Merlot Heaven, it still failed to make all the angels who followed Binghua feel relieved. So when he 11 released the news, some of the older generation angels who originally had no intention of interfering with Merlot Heavenly Court and only planned to spend the rest of their lives quietly became so excited suddenly. Compared with the excitement of the old man Tianjian, Kesha's direct descendants and the new generation of angels were a little overwhelmed by this. They wanted to recommend a new king of angels, but no one could completely convince the public, and there was no comparison with the King of Heavenly Sword. The opponent is the legendary angel of Mi Minghe and Pingtian Palace. Any angel who wants to compete for the position of King of Angels will feel ashamed when he thinks of Binghua's record and past. Compared with the few angels who have ideas about the King of Angels, most angels are happy to see it come to fruition. Regent Hexy's qualifications are sufficient, but his military achievements are seen by everyone. It cannot be said that he is bad, but it is a fact that he is not as strong as Queen Kesha and King Tianjian. Compared to a king of angels who is not good at military affairs, most ordinary angels still hope that the King of Angels can conquer all enemies and conquer all enemies he sees. Not only the mellow heavenly court, but also the direct descendants of Binghua who are currently stationed in the Chaiwa star system, such as Ran, also hold a favorable attitude. As the saying goes, even one sheep is herded, and two sheep are herded. Binghua is not the kind of person who likes to refuse. Before, she just didn't want to accept the responsibility of the King of Angels. With Hexy's encouragement, Binghua was finally crowned the second King of Angels in the royal palace of Merlot Heaven. Hexy resigned from his duties as regent and handed over the power to Binghua, the new king. At the scene where Binghua was crowned the King of Angels, all the god-level angels in the Merlot Heavenly Court, including those who had retired, came to attend the coronation ceremony. Some of the new generation's high-level angels were not even able to get a seat in the royal palace because they were all reserved in advance by the senior ones. Sitting in front of the dressing mirror in his room in the palace, Binghua quietly stared at his own image reflected in the mirror. Her long jet black hair was spread over her chest and armor on her back, and her slightly sharp eyes were enough to make others feel a little bit stressed even without any makeup. "Come on, sister, I made you a crown, see if you like it." Hexy opened the door and walked in, dragging a floating ring-shaped silver metal ornament in his hand. The front end was 3 prism-shaped blue crystals. One large and 2 small together formed the main body of the crown. Regarding Hexy's enthusiasm, Binghua said dissatisfiedly, "Sister Hexy, do you think I need that thing to prove that I am the King of Angels? Even if you are eager to get rid of the responsibility of the king, please don't show it so obviously. This will make me feel very unfulfilled." Hexy didn't care at all about Binghua's dissatisfaction and forcibly placed the crown a few centimeters away from Binghua's head. The crown emitted a burst of light and floated fixedly on Binghua's head. "This is something I spent a lot of effort to create specifically for you. In addition to being a symbol of the king, it can also help you operate weapons like Kesha's throne." Binghua stroked the extremely simple and slightly luxurious silver crown on top of his head. He felt unaccustomed to having something floating on top of his head and shook his head. The crown also swayed slightly with Binghua's movements, but the amplitude was not large. "Don't worry about it falling off, since it's anchored to you it won't break away from you so easily. However, if you are fighting at super high speed, it is better to take it off, as it cannot keep up with your top speed. He-11 stood aside with her arms folded, very satisfied with her masterpiece. She had also made a crown for Kesha before, but Kesha was not used to wearing this thing on her head, so she put the crown away. She had never done it before. Weird it? Hexy learned the lesson of making Kesha's crown and made the crown that appears to be floating now. The wearer will not feel anything strange. Seeing that Binghua felt uncomfortable and tried to throw off the crown, He-11 forced the front of Binghua to face the dressing mirror. Compared with the previous one who put on the crown, Binghua's power was stronger, and at the same time, there was a touch of kingly elegance. So fierce. Yes, sister, my aesthetics are still acceptable. It will be much better if you bring this thing with you. Binghua held Hexy's hands on both sides of her neck, took them away, and stood up from her seat. Okay, it's time for the coronation ceremony. Don't keep them waiting too long. You just don't want to be alone with me, sister. Isn't that why I handed the throne to you without your consent? Could it be that the friendship between us sisters for so long cannot compare to that broken throne? Hexy pretended to be sad, and Binghua turned to look at her performance with a look of helplessness on her face. Okay, Sister Hexy, I don't blame you, boss. With that said, Binghua came up behind Hexy and pushed her away, signaling her to leave quickly and stop lingering here. When Binghua and Hexy arrived at the area where the royal palace was located, the angels who came to watch the ceremony all set their eyes on Binghua, the new king of angels. Those who didn't recognize her were whispering, sighing at the new king's beautiful face and awe-inspiring temperament, while those who knew Binghua had expressions of joy as they finally saw the day when the queen became the king of angels. When Binghua actually sat in Kesha's seat, the god-level and high-level angels below saluted at the same time. I've met the Ice Flower Queen. Looking down at the familiar and unfamiliar faces below, Binghua felt a lot of emotion in his heart, but angelic civilization did not have too many red tapes. All the sisters elected me as the king of angels, and I will definitely live up to everyone's trust. Angelic civilization stands at the top of the universe today, and it will be so in the future, even more so in the future. Binghua's enthronement ceremony was very simple. After the ceremony, Merlot Heaven returned to normal and continued to operate as before. But outside the Merlot Heaven, the military changes of the angelic civilization were extremely huge. The first is that the world of justice began to enter the known universe on a large scale based on the Chiwa star system. After Binghua became the king of angels, he decided to take advantage of his identity and prepare to spread the influence of the righteous world to the known universe and take over the foundation of the original righteous order. Of course, this time, what greets the known universe is no longer Kesha's concept of justice that protects the weak, but the Justice World Alliance, which unites the weak and small to fight against powerful enemies. Compared with the loose order of justice, the world of justice with the integration of powerful forces will give the known universe some different scenery. At the same time, the Heavenly Blade Combat Unit of Merlot Heaven was restructured and an Intelligent Control Combat Unit was added. Binghua felt that Kesha's treasure house of sacred knowledge and computing power could not be wasted, so he planned to use Samilo's technology. Merlot Heavenly Court's massive resources could make up for the Angel's shortcomings and develop an intelligent combat weapon that obeys the Angel's command. This project was named Mellow Pioneer, which means Pioneer of Merlot Heaven. The main development work was handed over to He-11. After all, she has experience in making clones, and there is no more suitable host than her. The reason why Binghua restarted the intelligent control weapons was because the opponent the Angel civilization faced this time was no longer the same Shenhe system civilization as them, and they did not have the ability to forcibly break through the firewall of intelligent control weapons. And with experience in fighting the Chaos virus, Binghua knew that proper use of this mechanical weapon could effectively reduce his own casualties. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1085. When the Merlot Heavenly Court was undergoing military restructuring, Yan and Leng Suobu, who were chasing the male angel Wang Yuntian, also blocked the remnants of the Heavenly Palace Royal Court in a star field who fled to the Edge Star Field. You have chased me for half the universe. Considering that we are both angels, can't you let me go? Yuntian faced Angel Leng with a solemn expression, and there was a hint of submission in his words. Are you joking again? If your Heavenly Palace wins, will you let us female angels go? So suffer death. Only by killing you, the remnants of Huaya, can the angelic civilization stop the civil war from continuing. Before Leng finished speaking, he had already rushed towards Yun Tian. The special flame sword in his hand burned with raging energy flames, emitting a blazing glow that could annihilate everything. Faced with Angel Leng's terrifying blow, Yun Tian flew backwards and hit the shield of Tiangong's flagship dozens of meters behind him, emitting a dazzling flash of light. After the angel cooled down, the angel's wings were fully spread out, and he approached Yun Tian at a high speed like a swooping falcon. The murderous intent in his blue eyes penetrated Yun Tian's mind like a sharp blade. Taking advantage of Angel Leng's power, Yun Tian flapped his wings and fled in one direction. Behind him, Angel Leng stabbed the shield of the Tiangong flagship with his sword, and the dark energy compressed to the extreme burst out into a burst of turbulent fire. As a student of Binghua, Leng failed to learn his teacher's complex and changeable tactics in battle, but one thing was that he was extremely proficient in the compression and application of dark energy, which was no weaker than those with more than 10,000 years of combat experience. A battle angel. Yuntian did not forget to say while running away. Angel Leng, you only led one angel battle group here, but I have tens of thousands of elite angels under my command. When they gather together, even if you kill me and defeat my personal guards, not many of your sisters will be left. Instead of doing this, it is better for everyone to sit down and have a good talk. I promise that I will never step into the sphere of influence of Merlot Heavenly Court in the future. She was dismissive of Yuntian's words. Her goal was to annihilate the remnants of the Tiangong Royal Court, and Yuntian's guarantee was not credible at all. Leng swung his sword to kill several Tiangong guards who blocked her, and found that Yuntian had hidden behind many Tiangong guards. Although Leng was not afraid of them, it was a bit difficult to get close to Yuntian through them. Leng looked back at the Merlot guards he had brought with him and found that something was not good. The members of the Merlot Guard are all the elites who have been carefully selected by Kesha, and the lowest are high-level angels. Although the combat power is extremely powerful, one can defeat 100, but in the chaotic battlefield, this cannot be calculated after all, because male angels are not all weak hands. Moreover, the male angels have a huge advantage in strength and can often use multiple companions to distract the members of the Merlot Guards, although this will cause them to pay extremely heavy casualties. Although Leng was confident that she could lead the Merlot Guards under her command to break out, this meant that she had to let go of Yuntian, the male angel king. Leng, I'm almost reaching the time and space coordinates you gave me. How is the situation there? Yan's tone was a little worried. Although Leng led the elite of the angels, their number was too small and they could easily be surrounded by enemies. Yan, that's great. You're finally here. I thought you would have to wait for a while longer. Just in time, I stopped the male angel Wang Yuntian. As long as you can arrive with the angel army, we can work together to annihilate the royal court of Heavenly Palace here. After hanging up the communication with Kazuhiko, Leng no longer had any scruples. Her face returned to calmness, and her eyes showed contempt for Yun Tian. The majestic male angel king can only cower behind his subordinates and tremble. Even Huaya dares to confront my teacher head-on, but you are far behind him. Regarding Angel Leng's extremely derogatory words, Yuntian's face couldn't help but twitch, but he soon calmed down and clarified the advantages and disadvantages of both parties. Hua Ye, king of Heavenly Palace, is the king I once loyal to. Naturally, my abilities are not as good as his. But don't be complacent for too long. Soon your soldiers will be surrounded by my troops. I will make you cry when the time comes. I beg this king to spare your lives. Leng Ziyi responded with a disdainful sneer. If Hua Ye was still convincing when he said this here, he was just a former Tiangong general who was lucky enough to unite the remnants of the Tiangong royal court. He was not qualified to say this in front of her. Leng didn't want to continue talking nonsense. He raised the weapon in his hand and directly activated the Sky Blade Judgment. In an instant, the dazzling glow began to gather, forming a blazing glow as bright as a star and gathered on Leng's held weapon. Seeing this, the expressions of the Tiangong guards who protected Yuntian changed greatly. They had seen this move of the female angel more than once. The terrifying damage and killing range were enough to kill the angel without a divine body on the spot. Leng did not give the Tiangong guards a chance to disperse. After completing the energy accumulation, he launched the Sky Blade Judgment in the direction of Yuntian. The blazing energy glow poured out like a torrent, covering all the angels in a straight line more than 10 meters wide in front of Leng. Amidst the pitiful and painful wails, a famous Tiangong imperial guard turned into ashes and dissipated in the torrent of energy. Only Yuntian relied on his divine body to resist, but he also suffered serious injuries. Come on. She won't be able to launch attacks of this level for a short time. Kill her while you can. Yuntian endured the pain and ordered, and the surviving Tiangong Imperial Guard gritted his teeth and rushed towards Leng. But the next moment, the crimson energy glow representing the flame judgment was slashed out by Leng, turning into a streak that swept across the bodies of some Tiangong guards. Then they were split into two, and the scene was extremely bloody and cruel. At the same time, this also cast a shadow on the hearts of the remaining Tiangong guards. If you want to stop me, how can you do it without sacrificing the lives of 8,000 male angels? I hope you are not among them. The cold words combined with the evil spirit emerging on his face were quite a bit like Binghua's charm when dealing with his enemies, which made the Tiangong guards under Yuntian hesitate slightly. In the final analysis, their allegiance is to King Huaya of Tiangong, and Yuntian is just a leader they temporarily elected, and is not worth following them to the death. Leng was very excited when she saw that her intimidation had worked. She learned this from her teacher. In Leng's impression, Binghua would exude a breathtaking aura whenever she straightened her face, making other people unable to think of any resistance. Yuntian felt bad when he saw this. Because of Huaye's death, Tiangong's cohesion was running low. If Leng did this again, Tiangong's cohesion might be completely dispersed. At that time, he, the male angel king, will become a loner, and the heavenly palace will completely disappear from the history of the universe. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1086. Just as Leng was confronting Yuntian and some of his Tiangong guards, Yan finally led a large army of angels to the battlefield. As the space blurred, a huge ship squeezed out of it, echoing the nearby Tiangong flagship. However, the male angels present felt like they were mourning. The appearance of the heavenly blade meant that a large-scale angel army had arrived. They were already running for their lives. If they were blocked by the large army of Merlot Heavenly Court, you can imagine what would happen to them. In fact, it was pretty much what the male angel had imagined. After the sky blade arrived at the battlefield, it first splashed a burst of light rain, blasting the nearby male angels away and fleeing in all directions. Then he began to launch his own legion of sky blade combat units, nearly 50,000 female angels. There were less than 100,000 male angels present, but facing nearly 50,000 female angels, their momentum was much lower. Sisters, follow me to kill the enemy. As the commander of this angel legion, Yan did not stay in the safety of the heavenly blade, but came to the forefront of the angel legion and loudly ordered in the communication. For a time, a large number of female angels braved the firepower blockade of the Tiangong flagship and rushed towards the two groups of fighting male angels. Leng looked even more confident when she saw this, because even if she was dragged down by Yuntian, she couldn't run away because Yan was already here. Compared to Leng, who was as unstoppable as a sharp knife, Yan's performance on the battlefield was much more conspicuous, with dazzling thunder and lightning spreading wildly across the battlefield. All the male angels affected either lost their combat effectiveness or died on the spot. The thunder tactics developed by Binghua are so domineering. While possessing the terrifying and destructive power of lightning in nature, it also takes into account the strong corrosiveness of dark energy. The reason is that these lightnings are transformed from dark energy, not the thunder and lightning in nature. Of course, compared to Binghua and Ran, who are superb at thunder warfare, Yan at this moment is still unable to create his own home field in the battle, thereby turning the thunder and lightning in nature to his own use. But it was enough to deal with these male angels who mastered the most basic dark energy drive. Zhe Yan killed them in a burst. Soon the male angels who blocked the angel army collapsed. Yan also violently broke through the male angel who blocked her and came to Leng's side. What will happen when two angels with the divine wings meet? The answer is that the enemy will quickly lose confidence in fighting. Leng kills extremely efficiently, while Yan is surrounded by thunder and thick lightnings continue to strike. No Tiangong guards dare to gather together. Within a moment, the Tiangong guards who were guarding him in front of Yuntian fled as fast as they could, leaving him alone, the Angel King, still where he was. Facing Len Hian's cold gaze, Yuntian gritted his teeth and did not choose to retreat. Instead, he grabbed his weapon and rushed towards them. The result was of course no suspense. Yan's lightning blocked the area around Yuntian, while Leng Zi's sharp thrust sealed the life of Yuntian, the male Angel King who had been in power for less than half a year. Seeing this, the remaining members of the Tiangong royal court surrendered and collapsed, completely losing their will to resist. After the battle to annihilate the remnants of Tiangong, Len Hian looked at each other and smiled. From today on, Hua Ye's influence and his order in Tiangong will become history. As the remnants of the Tiangong group were cleaned up one by one, the various angel legions sent by the Merlot Heavenly Court returned one after another, and the Merlot Heavenly Court returned to the time when all the heavenly blades were guarding it. Binghua took over the stall left by Hexi and began to reward the angels who performed well in the battle between Merlot Heavenly Court and Heavenly Palace. Most of the angels who performed well were promoted from the second generation to the third generation, or crossed that threshold and were promoted to gods. And like Leng, an angel who does not need promotion qualifications as a reward, has gained the right to control and use some precious resources. For example, some precious special alloys, or requesting the scientific research department of Merlot Heaven to customize exclusive weapons for yourself. In order to enhance the strength of his thunder tactics, Yan customized a set of lightning swords as auxiliary weapons. The principle was taken from the lightning halberd of the former Apocalypse King Liang Bing. It can store huge amounts of thunder and lightning energy and use it when needed. The principle is similar to that of a charging device. Leng customized a flaming sword engraved with the blade-breaking algorithm and mixed with a small amount of dark silver alloy to fight enemies of the same level. At the same time, he made some minor upgrades to his main weapon. In fact, Merlot Heavenly Court could immediately create dozens more god-level angels by releasing resource restrictions, but no civilization would choose to do this. Because although this can survive the danger ahead, it will quickly collapse the cohesion of civilization and social order. Therefore, even when Merlot Heaven was threatened, he 11 did not blindly create gods. But things are different now. Reward based on merit is a matter of course at all times, and Binghua just wants to supplement the top combat power of Merlot Heaven. Therefore, more than a dozen new god-level angels quickly appeared in Merlot Heaven. The angel civilization was not surprised by this, but other civilizations did not think so. How come this angelic civilization seems to be getting stronger and stronger after being ravaged by the Tiangong group? This is unreasonable. After the warring angels rested for a while, Binghua held her first Merlot meeting as the king of angels. At the meeting, Binghua pointed out that the threat from the mottled blue empire had reached the point where there was no need to wait any longer, and the angel civilization could no longer rest. Because not long ago, the Hayden civilization in the Pocket Nebula sent news that the mottled blue swarm had wandered to the edge of the Pocket Nebula, and their next target of invasion was likely to be the Pocket Nebula. Both the Hayden civilization and the Thane civilization that had been fighting with them for several years felt a lot of pressure, because the large star field that separated them from the mottled blue empire could not survive even a year. After briefly summarizing the threat from the mottled blue empire, Binghua looked down at the indifferent angel below and felt a little headache. Because their successive victories have given them a sense of pride, and because Triangle was once their defeated enemy, the angels are extremely optimistic about the coming war. This is not a lesson, otherwise Angel will definitely suffer a loss because he underestimated the opponent in the subsequent war with mottled blue. Looking at you, do you think that as soon as our angel army arrives, the triangular creatures will be defeated by us, and we will win easily? Binghua's sudden change of attitude made all the angels in the Merlot Hall feel a sudden change of attitude, and they quickly corrected their attitude. I am not afraid to tell you that the triangular civilization is not inferior to our angelic civilization. Although we won the victory 20,000 years ago and expelled them from the known universe, there were still reasons why the other party took the initiative to retreat. Now that they have chosen to make a comeback, they must be confident that they can defeat us. This war can be said to be a continuation of the last physical war. Therefore, all angels, please take this seriously. I don't want to see the names of any of the sisters present in the list of those who died after the war. In response to Binghua's warning, the angels finally began to take seriously the invasion of the large group of mottled blue triangles into the Pocket Nebula. In fact, according to Binghua's original plan, he planned to block the large group of triangles in the edge star field and use it as a battlefield. But recently, the angel civilization has been busy annihilating the remnants of the heavenly palace, and she suddenly ascended to the position of the king of angels. There are too many things to deal with, which has delayed the formation of the known universe coalition. Now that the large swarm of triangles were approaching the Pocket Nebula, the Merlot Heavenly Court could no longer delay, so Binghua convened the Merlot Conference to decide on the matters for the Holy Expeditionary Force.